jellyfish one.
Elaine, thank you so much for coming today. We're here in Portlaoise and Elaine has joined us from Tralee and we're going to talk about your experiences off the North Channel, so very welcome.
Thank you. Delighted to be here.
Everyone is gonna die and no one is gonna remember you, so fuck it.
Running down to the riptide, taken away to the dark side. I wanna be your left-hand man. I love you when you're singing a song.
What a journey.
Well, you were both there for us.
Yeah, we want to take a wee bit of time over the next few months and reflect on people's journeys and yourselves and loads of other people that have put their toe in the North Channel. Not only the North Channel, but what comes from it, the Irish Triple Crown, the original Triple Crown, and where your journeys go and where it's came from, and sort of give people an idea of maybe what it takes or how crazy people are to take on the North Channel, or get rid of some of the myths or the spells that people have relating to the North Channel, and maybe bring some into place, like the jellyfish is definitely always going to be there, cold water drop is going to be there, and the tides and stuff like that. So yeah, this is where sort of we want to be talking to you guys that have succeeded. Not just succeeded, but people that have just taken on the journey.
The adventure.
And that's what it is. It's a massive adventure.
Yeah.
So probably the first thing in my head is, like, when did you decide, or what was your background that led you to deciding that you wanted to take on the North Channel?
Well, I suppose like that, I hadn't been swimming for years, for a lifetime. Came back, decided, I suppose basically to go back swimming, then took on the English Channel, which was totally massive to me because I'd only done up to 10, or I had 16k done at that stage, so trained for the English Channel, succeeded, so obviously I had the bug at that stage, and what other one was I going to want to do? Only an Irish one, you know. I know I went feet first into one of the hardest swims ever, but no, my heart was there and I wanted to take on something, and as you know me, I like to promote Ireland and I wanted to do an Irish one, and that's what I would always love to do, put Ireland first and do it that way.
Yeah, it's your home turf.
Yeah. I know there was the fear behind it, and I know I had heard all the ghost stories, and I suppose that would, in one way it would frighten you, and another way it made me more determined to do it. And like Kevin would always say to me, if no room for doubt, if you want to do it, just step in, do the training, tick all the boxes, and you have as good a chance as anyone to do it then.
Yeah.
So talking about your lead up time to that, so you finished the English Channel,
I did.
Was there any sort of experiences there for you?
Oh yeah, I did the English Channel in 10th September 2019, and I remember before it I had Ned and to me, Jan Lazarenko, and they were all explaining to me if after the English Channel set a target, you know, and I suppose because it was my first time doing a major swim, putting everything into it and concentrating solely on it, that I would get the drop, and they said focus on picking something after it, and I thought yeah I will, and it was September when I finished, never fell into another marathon swim, and I did get the drop, and Kevin was very good to me trying to get me back into the water, and I think there should be more focus on the drop after a big swim, and I actually didn't even really get into the sea after it. It was the following, well I dipped, but nothing, you know, because I was into winter swimming then, found it hard to get in, found it hard to deal with it. Kevin stood by me and was very good, and he was trying to focus on a plan and on a goal, and sure, straight away the North Channel was a thing that just gave me that buzz. got me back into it, got me back ready with the bike, with the heart. I think if your heart isn't in it, you're not going to, you know, for me anyway, I have to have solely my heart and determination in it. So we focused on that, and it totally got me back on the ladder. And was it 2020 COVID hit? And I think I was down to do the North Channel, was I, the year before? I went to postpone it because of COVID. But like I always like to say, COVID was good to me. Pools were closed and I had to get out, I had to get into the sea and do all my training in the sea, in the cold, winter, summer. I put in hard slog, and I knew I was ready then. I knew I could get back to you and tell you I was ready to try the North Channel.
And in terms of that cold water tolerance, how did you prepare for that? Was your nutrition changed? Did you have sort of extra weight gain?
Yeah, I definitely had extra weight gain. I don't think I took too much notice of it. I think because I was putting in the hard training, obviously I was eating more. I wasn't watching what I was eating, as in trying to keep my weight down. I knew I had to put on the weight, so I was allowing it to happen. I was training twice a day in Phoenix in the water. I had a letter to say that I could travel to Fina to swim, and because of the restrictions, and I could go out at 6 in the morning and get in. I actually debated, and it's funny, I debated doing an hour in a wetsuit, taking the wetsuit off, trying to swim in the togs for another hour, but then that just went to the side because there was no hope I was going to train in a wetsuit, which made me more determined. And I think little boxes were being ticked mentally and physically without me even realising it. You know, I was building up my tolerance, I was building my determination. I knew that I was confident by the end of my training that I was physically and mentally ready. Obviously with the North Channel, you have the cold, you have the jellyfish. I suppose the jellyfish did bother me a little bit because I had never come across a lion's mane in the water. I had plenty of compass, but in the meantime, I never reacted bad to stings, so I was telling myself I was going to be fine, adrenaline, and I was going to be okay, I'd get through it. You know, I mean, I think with it, rather than thinking of the negatives or thinking how am I going to react, think of the positives. And all I could focus on was that if a jellyfish did hit me, and I was going to say if because I could be one of the lucky ones and I mightn't get them, that I would react good to them. You know, there's different ways of turning it around to get through it, and I think you have to do that as well, because if you're going in with negative and with any, there isn't room for doubt, because you won't succeed if you have any form of doubt at all. So
sort of got the aura when you first, like we've met each other loads of times prior to your swim, but on the morning of your swim, I just remember that there was an aura of just a team, you, Kevin, and John, and just that the confidence, you had built your confidence, and your team had their confidence, and to see that, you know, we never judge the book by the cover, because you get all different types of people coming along, and you go, yes, they're going to make it, and no, they're not going to make it, and you know, they prove you wrong ultimately, but you do get a gut feeling with a team coming around, solo or relay team, but in your case, you felt the confidence on the boat, you felt you had the work done.
The camaraderie.
Yeah. And explain to people the benefit of having a coach that, number one, believes in you, number two, knows you and can kick your arse when you need to. You know, all those positives. So give us a wee bit of background on that.
Well, I could only say I have 300% confidence in Kevin and John. They were with me from the start, and through all the good times, all the bad times, and there's no point in anyone saying there isn't bad times, because there's times I go out to Phoenix and I need only drive into the car park and Kevin sit into the van, what's wrong with you? Nothing. We're not getting out of this until you tell me what's wrong with you. Okay, I'm feeling bad. I could start crying, I'm tired, and he'd say, okay, go home today and relax, or else he could say, get in there now and take it out in the water, that's it, I'm not having it today. But Kevin would sit there for a 6-hour swim and he's counting my strokes, and I'm over and back and mentally challenging because he wants me to do it over and back the slip, or to the slip this time. He could say, I could arrive another day and he'd say, we're going into the boat, you're going out the bay. You know, he'd know totally what to do next. And to have a coach that you believe in and you have 100% faith in takes pressure off of you. And like for me, I don't question Kevin because he knows me inside out. With John O'Sullivan, John could arrive and he'd say, okay, I'm going to get in today and I'm going to train with you. Or Elaine, I'll kayak and give you a hand. Or he's at the other end of the phone, how are you feeling? It's very, very hard to explain because we're used to sharing a house together now. When we go away, I'm like a princess to them. The minute we're ready to go on a swim, it's the case of, okay, John's the gentleman, he'll take the bags and put me sitting in, hold the car door, you know. Kevin is the cook, you don't go into the kitchen, John will tell you there's murder if you put your foot inside the kitchen and Kevin cooking. What would I like for my dinner? Roast chicken, steak, he'll cook it all, and Elaine, time to go to bed, Elaine, time to do your aspirations. I have my journal and he'll make sure that I have all my aspirations written out and I go through them every single day, and my few weeks build up while we're away the week, wait on our window. I'm sent down to bed to read my aspirations and all the important things and what I want out of the swim, and I think they're very important things. It's what works for me, and I have a few quotes and I've given them to a lot of swimmers now at this stage, that others, the likes of Steve Redmond, Ned, Jan Lazarenko, simple ones that they've given me that stood out to me, or when times are tough in the water, that I will think of them, and they're off by heart now and they're part of my regime. And without any of that, you know, it just all, I suppose I'm so lucky, it just all falls into place for me. I hit the jackpot with the team I have, you know, I really, really did. But I don't think it would work unless I had the trust and belief in them, and that's what you have to make anything possible, and I have it, and I've never, not in one stage of my 7 years have I doubted or anything, because you even know on the boat, you know the way the two boys are. It was for the North Channel, John changed jerseys every hour, and you know, they have their own little thing and they do something surprising, or you know, they know me and they know if things are tough and they know how to react, and it's brilliant, it's absolutely brilliant, but it's so important.
So great to hear about the team, and obviously everyone has an individual role and those roles all come together.
Yeah.
You talked about some aspirations, maybe you'll mention one or two before we moved on to
I suppose your aspirations are what's important in your life, your goals, your family, you know, you have to bring it back home as well to what means a lot to you, and that's what I do, you know, and certain goals I want to reach in the future, and it keeps you alive and it keeps you wanting more, and even to this day I'll still look at that maybe once a week at the minute now, but it'll build up, and so some of the quotes I couldn't even give now on camera because they're not fair. Steve Redmond has given them to me, so you can imagine.
Maybe a few bleeps needed.
Yeah.
Eddie said hello.
But no, there's some good ones now, you know. One of his quotes are, if you have pain, it means you're alive, get on and finish it. You know, there's and they go through the test of time and they do keep you going.
Yeah.
So you're juggling family life, you're juggling your children, your job, and then it's getting closer to the date, and obviously Pádraig's in contact with you or myself, and nerves are kind of starting to increase in the preparation stages. Talk to us a little bit about your North Channel.
I suppose the one thing that stands out to me for the North Channel is the relationship I had with G, the way he got in touch so soon. Now, we were all great friends anyway, but we built up a special relationship on the build up to it. I think it's the personal touch that ye have that just is second to none, that stands out, I suppose, majorly in my swim, because I have that with my team, and to go up to ye and walk down the marina or to meet ye first and to have the same belief in ye is just, I mean, it sets you up, you know, I mean, you don't get, I'm not putting anybody down, but you don't get that with everybody, and I just never had to question Bobby, yourself, Pádraig. I just knew it, you know, and I mean, you were there shouting me on. I'd get emotional, but it's very hard to explain it because I never had to question one single thing, and I knew, and you know the hard day I had, I knew I was going to get across.
Yeah.
Do you know, and I mean, that's not being cocky, it's just I knew you were going to get me across, and I knew my team were going to have my best interests at heart as well as you, but I knew they were doing this side and you were doing that side, and it all came together. I mean, it was a match made in heaven, you know, it really was.
So you get the call, the window's here, Pádraig makes a decision about the journey. Pádraig, talk us about the night before, the day of it.
Yeah, well, I suppose that in terms of making a decision in terms of the route, which ultimately left your swim harder, hands up, there's no question about that. Swimming across Belfast Lough is far from ideal, because you've so much water going in and coming out of there. So we had been testing that particular course over a period of 2 years, and we felt that we had it pretty well nailed, and that it possibly could give a faster course or an easier course. But the North Channel kicked me in the ass, as well as making your swim definitely 20% harder than an average North Channel swim. But you knew that in the water, but you kept on chipping away, you know, and it's nice to see the likes of Kevin questioning stuff on a boat, and not being afraid to go, right, what is going on here, guys? You know, so some people, or skippers or captains or whatever you may call them, don't really like to be questioned.
Yeah.
But when you've nothing to hide, you don't mind that, you know.
And I suppose that's the relationship Kevin had built up with you too,
Yeah.
you know, it works all around.
And that feeds back to what happens for you in the water, because your coach is then able to say to you, okay, well, I understand that this is a tough part, and okay, we're probably going to have to make much gain in terms of distance.
And that's what he did, if you remember.
But you have to do the grinds, you have to put the work in.
Yeah.
Elaine, it didn't work out on the first call.
No.
Tell us a little bit more.
Like that, the communication, you were texting me, and I got the call the night before, and we went down to the marina, and I was so, the adrenaline was just pumping so much. I got sick in the boat, do you remember, before we even left the marina, and the relay team went out the same time as me, and as we were driving out, the waves were just, I knew it, like I was saying, oh my God, but like that, I trusted you, and I kind of said, I can do it, you know, I'm used to rough water, I can get in. I didn't doubt it, but 2.5 hours I was in the water. I mean, from the minute I got in, I got stung, and I knew it, like, and I suppose, and I remember it so clearly, everything, and I was watching you, and I knew we weren't going to keep going, because I was 2.5 hours in, and you called me, and you said to me, if you get out of the water, Elaine, I promise you can swim from Scotland to Ireland tomorrow. You said it's not your fault. So I got out, and you said, well, do you think you'd be ready to swim in the morning? And I said to you, well, I'm wrecked with jellyfish stings. I need to stop and have a chat with myself and give myself a kick in the ass and say, I'm ready. but I need to actually sit down and talk to myself first, but I know I'll be ready. And that was it, you know, but I was still after a 2.5 hour swim that day and after getting wrecked with jellies, but the jellies didn't bother me. Do you know, they really didn't. We went home like that. I was treated like a princess. The two nearly lifted me back home, put me into the bath, got me another roast dinner, and put me into bed. And sure, we had to get up we got up at 10:15, and we met you at 12:30, wasn't it? And we were off.
On the night, yes.
Yeah, it was a nighttime swim and took me over to Scotland.
Yeah.
So we're on Igriach and yes,
Igriach,
Pádraig
of
said
course.
across the ocean that you were going to swim back.
Yeah, I swam home.
Yeah, that flexibility on both sides and on the swimmer's part and whoever you decide to pilot you across the North Channel is very vital, because the North Channel's weather is very fickle, and regardless of the weather forecast that you receive, what you find you get there is 9 times out of 10 is not exactly what you want to get. So having that flexibility and courage then to jump back into the water less than 24 hours. The beauty of it starting in Scotland is that if the weather is coming, if the wind is coming from that direction, you're getting a push over it, and it's played into our hands on many occasions. But having done 2.5 hours and the emotions, because the emotions is draining.
Yeah.
Getting yourself ready, and the nerves and the going and starting, and I know when you start to swim it sort of all calms down.
Yeah.
But that 6 hours from when you get up, or 4 hours, whatever it may be, when you get up and get your gear ready and get your onto the boat and the paperwork and all those wee things add up and really drain you.
And I think it was less than 24 hours when I was back in the water, because it was 9:30 I think when we started the morning before.
Yeah.
So I had to go home, go to bed, make myself have a night's sleep during the day. They called me 10:15 to have a dinner. I had my dinner before that, and got up 10:15, got ready. Now the boys had all my feeds done. I mean, Kevin, I have to say, he's military style. We have our boxes, and every morning without fail, he'll tick everything. We go through every box, make sure everything is in it and where it is, so that, like, John does the feeds and Kevin is at the side next to me, and they take turns. But John knew exactly where everything was, so we were prepared like that. But I had to, like, 9:30 in the morning, up, did my 2.5 hours, went back to sleep, got up then that night to go and do it again. Do you know, and I suppose because of the training again and because of the preparation, I was not letting that get the better of me, that I was in 2.5 hours. And the way I looked, like I say, being positive, I had to look at it. Well, I met those linesmen, I dealt with them, and I was getting on with it. I had rough waters, that wasn't going to happen at this stage, you know, but I was able for it, and I wasn't getting out of the water, you know. Everything just prepared me. It was a warm-up, and that's
Yes,
what I
it was like a
looked at
training swim
Yeah.
on the morning before
Yeah.
your big swim.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's how you dialed in mentally, which was lovely.
You had to.
Yeah, so throughout the journey, you had your Tralee flag. The wind was in your favour. It was blowing off the back of Igriach, and your Irish flag was flying up beautifully. And the team ethos on the boat was keeping watch constantly, obviously, with the pilot and the crew. Talk to us a little bit about your own emotions sort of through the challenging waters or the tidal changes.
Well, I suppose what really made it for me, because as you know, I'm full of pride and heart, so the whole idea that I was swimming home, that just, I mean, I could have ran along the water, you know, really, like, I mean, and when times got tough and you had said, Kevin came down to me and he said, Pádraig wants you to sprint for an hour, and that was about, was it halfway through?
Yeah.
And I was ready for that. Do you know, I knew I could do it, and it was afterwards Kevin said to me that the hour was up, and I won't use it on camera now that you said it, but and Kevin said to you, will I tell her he's up, and you said to she's had it hard all day now, and if she can keep going like that, she'll keep going another bit. So you left me off and left me, well, I thought I was super fast, but I probably wasn't at that stage.
Although it does make a difference that centrepiece.
Yeah.
You're getting 100% again.
Mm.
You know, just even taking a step back, and one of the I suppose not dangerous, but cautious parts that we have is leaving the harbour and getting to the start point. So your start point was at least 1 hour away, and maybe even further.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I don't think the journey across was overly rough.
No, it was lovely. It was beautiful. There was a beautiful moon up, and I think it took 1 hour and 20 minutes to go across.
Would be over to Tin Pan Bay. Salt Pan Bay, sorry. But at any stage, do you feel queasy or sick or?
Not that time. I mean, the day before I did, because it was total adrenaline, and that was something I learned. I didn't know that was adrenaline.
And it caused the sickness.
I thought this was the movement, and it was John that said to me, "Relax, Elaine. This is total adrenaline. You need to relax." And I got sick, and I learned to feel that's okay. You know, I mean, everything happens for a reason, and it was all in preparation. And I was sick. I got through it. You know, the night we left then to go to Scotland, I was so ready. It was a beautiful night, and not 1 ounce of sickness did I feel. I think I had that burnt off the day before, you know.
And we'll pop in some videos of Elaine just during that swim, which we can share with you all. So you're halfway, 3/4 of the way, energy's good, and you hit a low point. Tell us a little bit about
when I got tired. Yeah. That was that 10 hours in, I think, 10.5 hours, and I suppose I had judged it. I don't know. I'm wicked for my English channel. I was 3 hours. You know, I was making it all out, and I suppose I thought I was cold as well at that time, and I thought I'd hit that area where it was cold, but it wasn't. And I asked, which I never do. I asked, was there much left? And Kevin said to me, "You're just over halfway." And I thought, oh, mother of. Do you know?
Are you for real?
Yeah. And I thought, oh my God, if I have to face another 10 hours, now I haven't done this kind of a swim, but I thought, I'm going to get into Ireland, you know, and I did have a lot of thoughts. Never once did I feel like giving up. I wouldn't, you know, and I just thought, well, it's 10 hours done, you know, and I'll have to get a push at some stage. And if I just saw land, and I think, it was shortly after that I saw some form of land, and that just, there's different little things that just bring you along every time, if you're thinking positive. And I know, and plus, Kevin has, and I know I mention Kevin a lot, but this is my learning, this is how I know what I know. And Kevin has always said to me, you will hit a wall, I'll continue with this, you will hit a wall, and once you hit the wall and you get over it, that's it, it's done, you've hit that wall and it's gone. And I remember from my English channel, I hit it at 5.5 hours, and because I was so new to everything, I thought, I've done 6 hour swims, why am I hitting this at 5.5 hours? And for a split second there, I was kind of saying, how will I make it? Whereas this, I was 10 hours in, I lasted 10 hours before I hit that wall, so I knew I had it in me, you know.
So you kind of inverted it or
Yeah,
changed it
you
up
have
and
to.
made it. Yeah.
You have to.
And that only comes with training or being able to know.
No, brilliant. How you feeling?
Okay.
How's temperature?
Pardon?
How's temperature?
Perfect.
Yeah, it's good. Oh, good stuff. You can bring it down to 60, 62 now again, okay? We're stuck in a current there for a little while, okay? So we have to get out of that.
Yeah.
All right, and we'll bring us in. So there's about 7k-ish left, okay? But we'll get a run when we get out of this current.
Okay.
Okay, so you're going great. Well done.
Magic. Absolutely magic stuff. With a heart like a lion.
Yeah, and I think now in encouragement does go
Yes,
a
okay.
massive way on the boat, but I think, and that's what I'm saying, you have to turn everything around. If you want to make it, you have to turn, and I think it's out of, and I know some people might like listening to other people's stories, or they're oblivious to other people's stories, but I don't care whether it's a 5k swim someone does or whether it's a 50k swim. You have to be a sponge for everybody's experience, because you're going to learn something new from every single person. It might be only one word you'll pick up from someone, but it's something that's going to stick in your head. It might be this swim, it might be the next swim,
Yeah.
but there's always something you're going to pick up from somebody.
Good tip. Good tip, Elaine. Yeah.
Mm.
So you mentioned, yes, land was ahoy, as they say, and Pádraig's then navigating very challenging waters, because we're
Yeah.
approaching now what would be Belfast Lough and Copeland Islands. Pádraig, maybe talk a bit more about.
Yeah, so you have, you've got basically Bangor, and we're in the middle of Belfast Lough, and we're at the middle of a decision away on the road. Basically, we
Yeah.
go for sorry, what's the name?
North Island McGee.
Isla McGee, yeah. Jeez, my head's gone. So we're sitting basically in the middle of Belfast Lough. We're not making very much headway either way.
Yeah.
And we've got Isla McGee to the north, and we've got Bangor and that area to our south, and we're sort of trying to balance up which way do we go. And then we made the decision then to head south towards Orlick Point, where we eventually landed. But for us, no matter how much research and experience and information you get, sometimes you just have to go by your gut.
Yeah.
And roll with it. But it definitely wasn't an ideal situation for us to be in the centre of Belfast Lough, where potentially the tide was turning in another 2 hours, and we had potentially another 3 to 4 hours off a swim
Yeah.
to go, and we're starting to get pushed back towards Scotland, which I'm not telling the full story. But yes, thankfully our decision turned into a successful swim, but the courage and determination that you showed in the water was second to none. And I suppose what I'm saying is, there is a lot of, after all the training and research and mental training, you do need a wee bit of luck on the day just to make it.
Oh, 100%, definitely. Because, and Kevin says again, like for the English channel, he always says she either wants you to get across or she doesn't, you know, and I think it's the same thing with any of the channels. You're either meant to get across or you're not. Like you say, if you have a niggle, it'll find it, you know, and it does, like, obviously 100% preparation, everything, but things happen. It's Mother Nature, you know.
As Infinity, we are very particular, stay with the boat, and I know there was a few occasions where maybe you're getting slower, we're Pádraig's trying to navigate tides, and we're saying, Elaine, stay with the boat, and you know, very responsive to us, and always diligently doing what we've asked you, speed up, okay, you can have a break.
Yeah. I don't think I got much of those. I think now that was a fantasy of yours, Jacqueline. I don't remember any breaks.
We're coming close to the finish. Talk us a little bit through what was happening in your mind and what you saw on shore.
Yeah.
That reward.
Yeah, I suppose it probably wasn't. It was, to me, it was a very historic finish. You know, I was shattered. And I think at one stage he said I had 800 metres left, and I thought I was never going to get in. I knew I wasn't going any form fast, but I think the communication you had with me first, like when you were trying to decide what way we were going to go in, and you explained to me, Jacqueline, about Orlock Point and what it meant. You know, you did get all that information into me, and it gave me that buzz. It gave me, because, and I can never emphasize enough what pride I have in my country, you know, and it just gave me that just energy that I needed to actually, burst through and do it, you know. And my father was at the finish line, and my father is as bad as me with pride. You know, he's played for his county and he's coached Ireland. You know, that's built into me, and I knew he was there with his chest out, and obviously my husband was there. So to know they were there, John O'Sullivan came in and escorted me into, and I mean that has a special place in my heart, because John is in the background and he's doing a hell of a lot of work, and for him to finish with me was just fabulous as well. You know, I mean, it just all fell into place, and my flags, of course, my flags flying. I wanted to come into Ireland with my Irish flag, and I think I'm the first Irish woman to swim from Scotland to Ireland. You know, I mean, they're the things that take me by, knowing that's all that runs through my head, and how proud I am to be representing my town, my county, my country, you know. And it was just fabulous, and I know I arrived at those rocks and I only crawled onto them, you know, but it was tough going, but it was the most, definitely, it will hold the best place in my heart forever, because I know there will never be a swim that will finish like that to me, you know. Yeah.
So Pádraig talks about the jellyfish dance. So you're on the boat, you're swollen, you're stung, elated, deflated, everything, freezing. Actually, your recovery was quite good, and it's a good allegiance to the training that you had done in the cold water over the lead up to it. You were told you might have a long night ahead of you.
Well, I suppose I have to take it back to the day before when I did get stung. I knew I reacted well, and I think now some of you wonder, is it all in my own head, because you know the way you imagine things. But I think you had said to me that you had expected the jellyfish the day before to be more plentiful in Scotland, and they were in Ireland that day. And then when we started over, we kind of said, well, they were in Ireland yesterday. So when I started, I thought, oh mother of God, I was only in the water, and I got one just down my lip, and it was all down the right side. And I kind of said, and now like that, I can't let it go without saying the way you were that night. I mean, the torches, you were at the side of the boat, and I know people had prepared me for it, but until you're there, you don't realise the work you put in to avoiding jellyfish. And this is what I've said to swimmers that have gone to do the North Channel. You're the swimmer, and you have to pretend you're blind, and you are just putting everything into you, and you're saying, swim that way, come back, swim that way, come back, stay. And I literally have to have so much trust in ye that you're like a person they cannot see and is just doing as they're told, and it works, you know. And to see ye with 4 torches, I think Kevin was with ye, and John was it, and Bobby and you, Jacqueline, and ye were shining the torches and ye were telling me what to do, and it was outstanding, you know. Now I did, obviously you can't miss every jellyfish. I had got stung, and I thought at that stage, I'm only getting started. What way am I going to be by the end of the swim, you know? And I remember it was one of the first times I met you or spoke to you, and you said, you have to get over it. The cold, the jellyfish stings keep you warm, and you just get on with it. And that's what was going through my head. And I thought, you know what, Elaine, you've reacted well with them so far. Why is it going to change now? Now I did have grease on. I had Angeline's grease, and I had ocean grease on. I bought those on me, and they worked. I went back that night, and you had prepared me for a tough night. All I could think of was I was able to put my clothes on after. I was still able to raise my hands. I thought, this is totally different to the English Channel. I can raise my hands. I'm after coming a long way. By Jesus, that night I couldn't raise my hands. But I did have a bath that night, and I had one mark on me after the jellyfish stings, do you know, and I know I got a hell of a lot of them, but I didn't have one mark next day. I just reacted, do you know, I don't know.
You took it.
Yeah, yeah.
After that epic journey and adventure, you know, I always, looking back at the few swims now, for me the adventure was both physical and mental. You know, you get an opportunity to see how your brain reacts and where it takes you and where the journey takes you mentally.
Yeah.
You know, and all the different wee crazy things that happen in your brain. After that journey, what did you focus on then after the North Channel?
I wanted, and I had spoken to you about it. I wanted to do the Irish Triple Crown, the original Triple Crown. I had so many goals made out at that stage, and I wanted to do them, and that was it. I was focused. I mean, I think the North Channel gave me the drive I needed to step it up a level and get on with it. You know, whereas I think before that, because I was so new to things, that I was focusing on one thing at a time, you know, and hopefully it'll work out well. Hopefully you know, because the English Channel was the biggest thing I'd done, and I thought, we'll try it and we'll see how I get on. Whereas after the North Channel, I was moving on and I was stepping it up a notch, and I wanted to put Ireland on the map. I suppose that was my biggest thing. I wanted to show what Ireland had and what we can do here, you know. So that was my next goal.
So in the background, obviously there was work going on to create a new crown. So that was a big driver for you. So
Yeah.
the Irish Triple Crown that existed,
Yeah.
only new. So it was the Fastnet and Galway Bay added in. So you had speed in your step. You were ready.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
off you went then.
I had it in my head I wanted to be the first woman to do the Irish Triple Crown.
So what came next then? What happened after North Channel? Was there a period where you adjusted and you knew that there would be a sort of a crash before the climb again, or
I was
based on your
hoping to beat the crash,
yes,
you know, and every time I'm hoping to beat the crash.
by having a goal and a
Yeah, yeah. I was lucky my North Channel was the 21st of July, so I still had the summer to enjoy, maintain. That's really what I was thinking. I suppose I did kind of hope Fastnet would come at that stage, but it didn't. But I said, I'm going to look at it differently this time. I'm going to enjoy the water, feel it, and get out and just enjoy being out there, you know. And then the winter came. I did do a bit of the swimming, of this sea swimming, the cold water swimming, and I did hit the low most definitely because I wasn't getting in as often, but I got over it because I did have those goals and I knew I wanted to do them. I went into the pool, maintained for the winter. We had COVID still then, did we? No, the pools were back at that stage. The pools were back.
loosening up then.
Yeah. So I went into the pool, I maintained, and then come March, I think I was back in the sea doing, like Kevin would want me to go back into long distance more or less straight away start with your 3Ks in the sea, get your feel for the sea water as opposed to the pool. And I put myself down for Galway Bay, like that, waiting for the right day. And Galway Bay was next. I swam Galway Bay, and then on the 21st of July, my dates are wrong.
Almost a year to the day of your North Channel.
No, Bristol.
Bristol,
was-
yeah.
So Galway Bay I did, and then I was ready for, it was June I think I did Fastnet, which I love Fastnet. I mean, Fastnet is one of those swims I'll volunteer and I'll crew for anybody because I love going out to the lighthouse and the boys know it. So I'm down in Kerry and Noel Brown will offer me a dinner that night to come up and crew. Yeah, so off I go because the Fastnet is such a poignant place in Ireland and it has so much history, and until you go out there and look up at it, you're just in awe of it, and every time it's more fantastic when you go out there. But you can't be under any illusion, it's a hard swim, you know, and I know there's been a lot of successes with it, but it is a very, very hard swim, and it all like that down to your pilot. I mean, Kieran Collins there is just, he's just second, he's amazing. I can't, he's like yourselves, the relationship that I still to this day have with Kieran Collins is just outstanding, and his knowledge is just, and even if you're there and you're crewing, you're listening to everything. I mean, it's just unreal to listen to all about the different dolphins, the different whales, and I was lucky for my fascinate swim. I had dolphins, I had a minke whale. Do you know that you're taken on an adventure out there, you know, and like that, anything can be thrown at you because you know how difficult it is, the way the tides are there and the currents, but it worked for me, and that was the icing on the cake for my Triple Crown.
So very proudly you received the first person ever to receive the Irish Triple Crown.
David was
With the first female, with David,
Yeah.
on that occasion.
yeah, and it was nice. It was nice to do it with Dave. That it was David as well, because myself and David have history. The first time I went down to Cork Distance Week, I went down naive before my English Channel, in total awe of everybody that was there. Didn't know anybody. Kevin went with me and went off swimming around Sandy Cove, and I was swimming on my own, and I was saying everybody's friends here, and I'm quite, you know, I wouldn't mix very well at the start, and swimming and kind of bumped into David. We were swimming together and I didn't know who he was, and I got my swimming buddy, and to this day we're swimming buddies, and he was the first man to do the Irish Triple Crown, so it was lovely for me that it was David that accomplished that.
I went into the Triple Crown, so and the Bristol Challenge, I suppose. Tell us a wee bit about that journey, you know, and that swim itself.
Yeah, I suppose like that I had the English Channel done, and on my high from the North Channel, but I actually had my name down like that for Bristol. Bristol wasn't known at all, and it was David Conradi. He wanted to do the longer version of that, and I had done my research. I was coming up in the world now, I was doing research at this stage. So I had said about the British Triple Crown, as I had called it, and Dave said, that's interesting, you know, and he was looking at the longer one, and I said, I'd love to do that. Couldn't find a way to get in touch with anybody, and I got in touch with you, wasn't it? And you had said you'd have loved to taken a boat over there. You did the research and you got me in touch with Kerry, and what's his name? Jeff Jones. Yeah. And it was actually I got onto first, and he was lovely, and he got onto Kerry, and then I had an injury or COVID, I can't remember, something. I had to postpone it to a year, and word was getting out at that stage then about Bristol, and my date was July 22, and we went over, and we were called on the 21st of July, and we were ready. We were, as we do, cocooned in our own little apartment, and the boys treated me like royalty, and we were starting on a force 5 wind. It was very rough going over there, but they said it would start rough and it would ease out. I started under Devon House, and they told me it would take me down towards Cardiff and we'd come back up, and it nearly landed me in Cardiff. I could have nearly walked at that stage. I was taken the whole way down to Cardiff. So then and I went across very quickly, and it did smooth out. It was lovely at that stage, and then we were coming up level to land, and the tide turned 2 hours early. And as you know, it's the second strongest current in the world. So tide turned 2 hours early was, I tell you, it was probably the most mentally challenging swim I've ever done. I was definitely in the one spot for an hour, 2 hours. There was a cave and I never passed it. In the end, they stopped my feeds, stopped touching base with them. There was another guy that started at the same time as me. They had to land him. Like I was so focused, I suppose, on the original Triple Crown. I wanted to get in to no.
So you had to finish west of the river.
Yeah, to finish west of the river.
And you'd
in
be so
Portugal.
diligent about your research in
Yeah,
Portugal.
Yeah, and I had to make sure I was west of the river. And I mean, I was so close to land, I could see people and I wasn't getting any place fast, wasn't moving. Then I suppose mentally I knew that other guy hadn't made it. Well, he made it he landed, but it wasn't going to be the Triple Crown. They brought some of those onto my boat, so I wasn't touching base with my team. I wasn't on feeds, and I was seeing these people come on the boat. It was getting dark. Everyone was putting their jackets on. They were taking the rib up, and they're pulling me. They're going to pull me because I knew I was in the one place. And just before they stopped feeding me, when Kevin said they were stopping feeding me, he said, "Look, as long as you're moving, they're keeping you." I'd say I was only moving. There was 100 metres I did in 32 seconds, and then I think, geez, it was a lifetime before I reached another 100 metres, and I knew as long as I was moving, that stuck in my head. Kevin said, as long as you're moving, they'll stick with you. My stroke count was still 50, 52 strokes a minute, but mentally challenging, eating into my own reserves, not touching base with my team, seeing other people get on the boat, and it was really, really hard. And I was watching, even I breathe bilaterally, and I felt if I was breathing bilaterally, or if I took a breath to one side twice, I was gone back. I was out of my rhythm. That's how much it was making a difference. I needed to stay in my rhythm, my bilateral breathing, and I was balanced, and I was going the way I should be going. I remember seeing the lifeguard hut, and I couldn't get past it. There was people out in bodyboards. I was passing them. They were there, and I was here, and I actually hadn't a second to look up. And those people. I remember at one stage there was 3 women swimming just next to me, and I had to keep going. Do you know, I was that close to landing, couldn't land, and eventually they saw the river and they said, head in there, and I did, and I made it.
Your track is like, and then
Yeah, I made it.
so straight line.
Yeah,
and
and I tell you, I never got so sick as I did after that swim, and it was all black. It wasn't just, it was desperate, but it was brilliant. But it was mentally, it was so challenging, and I think my mental status had to repair so much. It took a long time for that to repair after that swim, without a doubt. And I don't think I realised it. This is beyond a drop. This isn't what was a drop at all. This was mental repair, which is really, really hard, because I was fighting with myself. And 2 weeks later, I went out to Phoenix. I was beating this time, you know. And I said to Kevin, I want to get out, I want to do a swim. He said, look, we'll go out the bay, we'll start in Phoenix, go way out, we'll do 6.5, 8 hour swim. My mind was not ready. As you know, I don't like seagulls, and I think I was imagining seagulls. Kevin said I was twisting my whole body around. I was just not in a good place. There was water getting into my ear. I was getting seasick. The water got rough. I hurt my neck, and I had to deal with that then, as well as my body recovering, mentally recovering. It's only now that I actually am getting back to normal, without a doubt. Do you know, but it's hard, and I think a lot of swimmers need to realise that, and it needs to be addressed more, without a doubt, because you're after accomplishing something so big, and you're not equipped yourself to deal with it, and you don't know what's going on, and you feel great, and like I was elated. I never celebrated the English Channel, I never got the high. I did from the North Channel and from Bristol, and I was on a high from it. But my body was telling me something different, totally. I was fighting with my body, I was fighting with the sea.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, does it sound nuts, but it's the way I feel. When I'm fighting with the sea, I don't like to get in with the sea because it's my happy place. And I don't like bringing negative vibes into the sea. So I think that's what happens to me. I don't go into the sea with the negative vibes.
So Elaine, you have received now another crown, which I was delighted to place on your head and have photos taken with you, and congratulations on that. You talked about the sort of bodily attack that happened, and in some ways the community spirit and the need for friendship and the want to be in the water and the good feelings that come with it.
Yeah.
And you have this group of ladies, the funky femmes, and I'm going to get in trouble for it. I said it wrong so many times that I have to apologise. So the Phoenix funky femmes, dressed in matching attire, matching swim caps, and the fun side of probably what was a darker place that you had been in. And these ladies oozed life, and there was lots of lovely social media posts, and it brought a cheer, I hope, to you and gave you a refocus to stay in the water and rock up for your training.
Yeah.
So you decided to come to the North Channel, which we were chuffed about to have you come up the road, and a revisit back to probably a place where you had lots of great memories.
Yeah.
And being back in that water, and I remember having conversations with you to say, you know, this came back to me, or there were probably moments that you relived that hadn't been with you before.
I suppose, firstly, the Phoenix Funky Femmes, they're girls, with 3 other girls with myself, Caroline, Aisling and Sandra, girls that hadn't swam competitively as kids. 2 had only learned how to swim, 1 had a fear of the water. They came a massive long way, you know. I mean, they put the training in, and we had done the English Channel, and we'd done Phoenix to Lupate, which was a very historic swim, and I think it gave us the buzz. And I had always been on to them about the North Channel, and I was even saying, if we were really a team to do the Triple Crown, I'm always putting something else out there. So the girls, I suppose, they've heard my stories, and they're very competitive girls, but we're a funny combination, all of us, you know. We bring the best out in each other, and we have the banter, and I think the girls got into the water to actually enjoy it and just
you could feel that on
not
the
to have the
boat,
fear,
yeah.
and they got the bug and started the training, and we never lost that fun factor. And I suppose me, after Bristol, I suppose the biggest thing is to be able to admit that it's hard, and to have people that you can trust, because nobody wants to admit how bad they feel after something so good, because it's very hard to understand. And I had the girls there that knew me and knew my difficulties, and they never stopped organising a dip. Come on, we'll do this, we'll buy a swimming togs, we'll get another one matching. You know, there was always something that involved swimming, involved camaraderie, involved each other. We'll go out and we'll have a meal. We won't talk swimming, we'll go out and we'll have a meal. You know how that worked out. And what are your plans? What are we planning, Elaine? Have you any idea what we plan? What about the North Channel? You know, so like that Caroline got on to, Caroline is the head of us all, and we like to call her Mary the manager.
Hi Mary.
So Caroline got on to you, and we organised it from there, and it was something that we were looking forward to, you know. And for me, I was going the opposite way, so I was going to have both ways covered, you know. And like that, I suppose on the day we had people, solos that were getting in that we knew, that were going to drive us along. I mean, you know, when I got in that time, you saw me when Dave Berry was ahead of us, and I thought, I'm going to catch him. And I'm hoping him. But you know, and I mean, the girls, you see them on the boat, and like, I think for a relay team, we had a nice little regime going. There was always one of us looking after each other. So if either one was at the side for the person in the water, one was feeding someone, one was drying someone, there was always, we never stopped. We had a good system going, we all got on well, and like that, it works for us and it's great.
Yeah, very important, that routine, and as you said, you came up to hit the wall and the energy was there between the four of you and you were working off each other, and again that grew as sort of what transpired to unfortunately not be a success on that day, but certainly that energy was there to bring it back.
Yeah, exactly, without a doubt.
And I suppose my focus was to bring out the fun element for you again, to take you to the next level of being there, being through hell, and a little light at the end of another tunnel.
Exactly, and I think the girls knew that. They knew
And your friends.
what I had been through in the North Channel, and they were willing to take it on even though they knew, and yet they could make light that and they were very conscious. I had been here and I had a difficult swim, and they were making light of it. They were making sure I was okay without saying, Elaine, are you okay? Elaine, are you nervous? There was none of that, so it was good. It's very good when you have people, again, that you trust and you believe in, and keeping the lightheartedness in it.
We'll finish up with 2 questions, unless you have any other questions. First question, in a short enough sentence, and you can think about it, take your time. Why? In terms of why challenge swimming, why open water, why this sport?
Because I love it.
Sure.
I love it. The further out I go, the happier I am. I just, the deeper the water, the nicer it is. It's just, as I said to Kevin, just take me out there and I'll swim forever. It's just one of those, it's so hard to explain. It's just, I love it. I love it.
Second question, if you had to give yourself a bit of advice before you started the journey of challenge swimming or longer distance, what would that be?
As in?
Could be in terms of training, in terms of how you approached it, or it could be your mental attitude, or it could be just a wee nugget of information, a wee nugget of something.
I suppose when you're starting out, you're not aware of the training or anything. To me, I think, the most important, it might sound silly, is to feel the water. You have to, if you don't feel the water, if you're not at one with the water, you can do anything if you feel the water.
Yeah, that's very much on my wavelength. I would always say when challenge swimmers, and only if you get the feeling from them, they say, what should I be doing this week, running up to a North Channel, get yourself acclimatized to the water, get yourself into the water, and just make peace with it.
Yeah.
And ask for permission.
Exactly. It runs its own course, and as long as you're one with it, if you're fighting it through, you're fighting a losing battle.
Definitely. Elaine, thank you so much for your time.
Thank
I
you.
really
Thanks for
enjoyed it.
having me.
Thank you, Elaine. Oh, that was
Thanks,
such a
Elaine.
journey, and only more to come.
Yeah.